Our first contestant tonight is the author of The IT Girl, and today she'll be talking on the topic of culture. Her title is Why Future-Focused Leadership is All About Cultural Impact. Chantal Schinkels, welcome.
Thank you, André.
We can hear you. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
We have a great connection. The floor is yours.
Thank you. If you had asked me a few years ago whether men and women are treated equally in the workplace, I would have said yes. There was no reason to believe that there was some hidden agenda in it. For example, during my study, we started with 90 students, and 4 of them were women. And I'd never felt left out during that period. I really love working in a men's environment. I've been working as an e-commerce specialist for 10 years now. And in addition, I help with the family business shifters. We design, produce, and sell car accessories. I mean 1 day a week in production because I love it. In the morning, I have blocks of raw material, and at the end of the day, I have a physical part in my hands. This combination is perfect for me. So why would there be a reason to treat me unequally? Until I discovered that my younger, less experienced male colleague was receiving a higher salary than me. And I instantly took it personally. What did I do wrong? Was my contribution and dedication insufficient? I was extremely ambitious. So I read all kinds of books about successful women, and I started to talk with them. I first of all wanted to know how I became successful, and more importantly, whether I was the exception, that it was really me, because then I could adapt and change myself. During all those conversations, I noticed something. It wasn't me, because most of the women I spoke to had similar stories. If it wasn't about pay, it was about lost promotions, about a lack of recognitions, and perhaps even worse, feeling unsafe in the workplace. This problem was much more complex. My name is Chantal Schinkels, and I would like to present to you why future-focused leadership is all about culture impact. A few weeks ago, I saw a Pixar movie, and this movie lasts 9 minutes, too long to show it now, but the movie was about Pearl, P-U-R-L, a pink ball fool. In the movie, Pearl is really excited when she's about to start a new job at Bro Capital, a real men's company. And soon after, she realized that she has been left out by her male colleagues. The situation escalates when Pearl is not included in their plan out for a work drink. So she considers leaving, but she comes up with a plan. She buys a suit, starts talking in a low voice, makes some bad jokes, and demonstrates masculine behavior during a meeting. And the plan works out. Soon she is fully accepted by her colleagues, who this time are happy to invite her for a drink. And she's proud because she belongs. This story reflects the strategies women had to apply for years in order to survive in a male-dominated workplace. We are talking about fixing the women so that they fit into the traditional work environment made by and for men. We used to think that successful organizations had strong cultures.
Chantal, please excuse us. We would love you to perhaps adjust your microphone. Sometimes we hear you very well. Sometimes we get a little bit of static for some reason. So sometimes it was very good, but occasionally it was it was not very clear. So if there's something that can be done on your side, we can't do it from here in the studio, but if you can help us, I think that you can continue with perhaps a better connection through your microphone.
It's not bad, I think.
Okay, perhaps it was just touching your cheek or maybe a piece of jewelry or something, I don't know.
Maybe my hair.
Or your hair, yes. Okay, now it seems to be very clear now. Chantal, we're so sorry for the interruption, but I think it's for everybody's enjoyment. I think it was worth adjusting. Thank you. Please continue.
Okay. We used to think that successful organization had strong cultures where individuals did or did not fit into. This male-dominated work culture creates a chain reaction of reasons why we still have few women in different sectors, in senior positions, or at C-level. A woman once told me that her manager constantly made sexist jokes. She decided to confront him about it, and I really want to know, what do you think his response was? So let me know your answer in the chat. Is it answer A? He apologized. He also asked her to continue to give feedback. Their relationship improved and he even became her mentor. Or is it answer B? He ignored her after her comment and indicated that he no longer felt comfortable with her. He decided not to come near her anymore and therefore did not see any of her successes. You will hear the answer in a minute. So, what do we mean by fixing the women? Well, we just turn them into men. We ensure they can't be themselves, which takes a lot of their energy. That way, everything remains the same. Wouldn't it be better to fix the current system and encourage us to be the best selves at work? That's exactly what Pearl from the Pixar movie did, or tried to do. She didn't do that by waiting for government policy or for the CEO to finally see the benefits of an inclusive workplace. No, she did that by taking a small step. Because when she was in the elevator with her new brothers on the way to her first one of the guys' drink, she saw that a new female colleague had just entered the workplace. At that moment, she could do two things. She could ignore and exclude this newcomer, or she could step out of the elevator to welcome her new colleague. And by doing so, she's not only make a difference to this new colleague, but she also sent a signal to the rest of the organization. If she hadn't, this new colleague would have either quit the job or started to behave like one of the guys, so that the work culture stays the same. Let's go back to the questions. How did the manager respond? Was it A, did he apologize? Or B, ignore her? Have me briefly look at the chat for your answers. And I see a lot of B's. And the answer to the questions is B. Her manager kept ignoring her. And after a few months, she decided to leave the organization. To prevent women leaving the organization and make a cultural impact, you can act like Pearl. Her decision represents something bigger, namely so-called micro-revolutions. Pearl, P-U-R-L, therefore stands for proactive, the P of proactive. Because Pearl decided not to wait for regulations or policy, she just stepped out of the elevator. The U of unify, because she unifies by immediately introducing her new colleagues
to her other colleagues and inviting her for drinks. The R for response. She showed empathy with her response because she knew how her new colleague was feeling. And of course, the L of lead. Finally, she wasn't afraid to take the first step. And without thinking, she thus became the leader towards such a cultural model where everyone felt at home and could use their full potential. The subject of making a culture impact is certainly on the agenda of a lot of companies, but the results are very disappointing. And one of the reasons is that men don't see the problem. And if you can't see it, it's very difficult to fix it. So we turn making a cultural impact into a business case. We list benefits, such as a varied team provides better products and services, and therefore a better operating result. A culture where equality is number one attracts a variety of other talents, and of course, it boosts creativity and innovation. So we attach a number of KPIs and just start. For today's leaders, this is the way they approach every management problem. And does this have to be done by the stakeholders? Is it legal? And what's in it for them? For me, future-focused leadership stands for something different. It's more oriented on the moral compass of the leaders. Everyone has values and principles by which you act. And if you really look at your moral views, how can you treat people unequally? I know that a lot of men find changing the world culture difficult. And many are convinced that the current culture is already equal. A large group also holds the zero-sum belief, where the gain of one group, in this case the women, means a loss for the other group, in this case the men. Like we are talking about dividing a pie. They are afraid of losing everything. And I can imagine, even it's not necessary, because change is difficult. On the other hand, research shows that if only one man speaks out on this subject, women in the workplace feel much more welcome and seen. Sadly, the lack of women in the workplace is not easily solved. It might not happen tomorrow or next year, but now we are here as people from different companies, and we can already make an impact there tomorrow with micro revolutions. And does work really feel like a survival? Then leave. These companies no longer have a future in this changing world. Well, how did the Pixar movie end? In the last scene, you see a diverse workplace where all kinds of people walk around in a happy way. The movie did not show how long it took to make the transition to this inclusive work culture, but it did show the difference. We can make more cultural impact when we act more like Pearl. Remember, proactive, unify, respond, and lead. I will ask every single one of you, and please let me know in the chat, are you in? Do you want to join Team Pearl? Thank you.
I'm definitely in. Definitely in. Definitely in. Chantal, thank you so very much. And again, our apologies for interrupting your great performance, but we thought it was for the best. And in the end, you had a beautiful voice towards the end. No interruptions. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for letting me know that the mic was not that good. So thank you.
Thank you. And we have a question from our jury member. Yorisa, can you hear us?
I can hear you perfectly. Thank you.
Thank you. Can you Ask your question, please.
Yeah, so Chantal, I'm definitely on Team Pearl. And I heard you say put culture on the agenda. My question is, does it make sense to put culture on the agenda, as you say, or is it better to place acting role models in a higher level, both men and women? As you know, I'm working in a very large male-dominated company. So that's why I ask you my question. Very curious.
I see that showing role models are like a part of your culture plan. And I believe that if you have a good culture when we all feel at home and that we can be ourselves, you have like more role models than only like focus on only that part.
Okay, thank you very much, Chantal. Thank you very much for a lovely presentation.
Thank you.
And thank you both.